Ideology. Does ideology matter in politics? I ask you this today because another party, in fact, a party you've been associated with in the past, the Aam Aadmi Party, some people have described the AAP to be post-ideology, and they, very different from the Congress, sidestep a kind of ideological confrontation with Mr. Modi and the BJP, especially on issues of secularism and pluralism, and keep their focus on governance, delivery mechanisms. Then you have Rahul Gandhi, who talks a lot about politics of hate and a counter politics in the Yatra. You've also spoken about it. Some people think sidestepping the secularism question is smarter, because the moment you have a conversation about religious politics, you're having the argument on the BJP's terms. Clearly, the AAP thinks that. The Congress thinks otherwise. But the debate around secularism, and of course, these images speak for themselves. Mr. Gandhi went and offered prayers at a temple. He went and took duas at a dargah. But the debate around secularism is far from closed in this country. The debate continues, Nehruvian versus Gandhian, hypocrisy in secularism, the Congress tie-up with the Hindutva party in the past like Shiv Sena. There are many paradoxes to Indian politics. BJP की भी अपने contradictions हैं, PDP के साथ जो tie-up हुआ Kashmir में. My question simply to you is, does the Yatra need to ideologically resolve itself? And how do you see it in juxtaposition to the AAP that ducks several ideological questions?
Ideology matters. Ideological straitjackets of the 19th and early 20th century may not matter, because when people say, does ideology matter, what they usually mean is, do things like communism, socialism, liberalism of the mid-20th century, do they continue to be relevant? The answer is no. In their earlier form, they are not relevant. But do ideas and taking positions and having a consistent position in public life matters? Yes, it does. And the prime example of that is BJP. I mean, after all, BJP's success is an ideological success. They are there because they have managed to shift the entire spectrum of public opinion to the right, by sheer dint of ideological work. So if you want an example of does ideology matter? Yes, and there is an example. His name is Mr. Narendra Damodar Das Modi. I mean, it matters. Yes, of course. If you manage to convince people of it, because after all, BJP's success is a success of convincing people of a different notion and idea of India than the one which prevailed earlier. So ideology matters. Ideas and communication is of prime significance. I thought you were being rather kind to Aam Aadmi Party, probably because you associate me with the party and you are trying to be kind to me. You needn't be so kind, because they don't just sidestep. When you go and hold a press conference and say, Lakshmi and Saraswati ka photo note pe chapna chahiye, when my old, and I thought atheist friend Atishi holds a press conference and says, "Hum to astik log hain, hum chahte hain Lakshmi aur Saraswati ho." That's not sidestepping, Barkha. And when there are bulldozers in Delhi, in the city they rule, and when they bring up the name of Rohingyas, it's Raghav Chadha, Atishi, and Sanjay Singh, and Manish Sisodia, who accuse these victims of being Rohingyas, an accusation that even the BJP had not used by that point. That's not called sidestepping. That is actually playing the game. I mean, let's be frank. Aam Aadmi Party thinks that BJP's ideology is the ruling ideology of our times, but this ideology can have two political vendors, just as Dravidian ideology has two vendors, DMK and ADMK. Now there are 5 or 7 more as well. So Aam Aadmi Party believes that the BJP's ideology leaves a room for a second vendor, and that they would be the successful second vendor of that ideology. Let's not call it sidestepping. It's not sidestepping.
So you think, let me say it more plainly this time around. You think, just 1 second, you think the Aam Aadmi Party is no different in ideology from the BJP when it comes to Hindutva. You think the Aam Aadmi Party has positioned itself as a second claimant to basically the Hindutva politics of the BJP because they believe that that's what sells today.
I don't think so. They are saying it themselves. So these are not accusations. This is something which they say themselves openly, quite clearly. And that worries me enormously. I keep saying right now, given the historic crisis that this country faces, not to put too fine a point on it, our republic is being dismantled, Barkha, right now. When my republic is being dismantled, when my house is being set to fire, there are two parties. One, those who are walking with a bottle of petrol, and then there's another one who's bringing a bucket of water. यही मैं बार बार कहता हूँ, मेरे घर में आग जब लगे तो मुझे तो सिर्फ दो पार्टी दिखाई देती हैं, जो पानी की बाल्टी ला रहा है और जो पेट्रोल का बोतल लेके चल रहा है। पानी की बाल्टी
आम आदमी पार्टी क्या क्या लेके आ रही है?
मुझे बाल्टी का रंग दिखाई नहीं देता, बाल्टी का रंग लाल हो, पीला हो, नीला हो, सब बढ़िया है, मेरे दोस्त है, मेरे भाई हैं, आ जाओ। लेकिन एक और होता है जो एक हाथ में बाल्टी और एक हाथ में बोतल लेके चलता है और देख रहा है कि किससे ज्यादा फायदा होगा, ये फेंक दूं या वो फेंक दूं। वो सबसे खतरनाक है। And I really fear that this is the game Aam Aadmi Party is into right now. If there's something that I feel ashamed of, it is this. As of their governance record, I mean, one can be positive. There are some positive things they have done. There are some negative things they have done. Corruption, no one has done anything in the world, in this country. Why blame Aam Aadmi Party for not doing much? That's all right. And yes, they've been harassed by the BJP and the Lieutenant Governor. I'm entirely with them. But this one aspect of Aam Aadmi Party's conduct really leaves me ashamed of myself of ever having associated with these people. But that's not the central point in today's discussion, Barkha. That's a sidey thing. On the larger ideological questions, one thing that makes me stand with this yatra is that on this issue, this yatra is unambiguous. I'm not saying every single congressman is unambiguous. I don't know. I'm not saying every single Congress worker and leader is firm on this question. I wouldn't know. But I know this yatra is absolutely unambiguous on this question. I'm so very happy that Rahul Gandhi spoke about used the Hindu-Muslim word and said कि बीजेपी वाले दिन रात ये करते हैं. That's what they do.
Actually, he said it about TV channels also. He said Hindu-Muslim din raat about TV channels also, not just about the BJP. कि ये जो TV channels हैं, इन पे दिन रात वही चीज होती है, ये हमें इग्नोर करते हैं, चलिए ठीक है, लेकिन ये नफरत फैलाते हैं. This is what he said about television channels.